अस्सलाम वालेकुम लेडीज़ एंड जेंटलमैन। आज हमारे साथ जो मेहमान हैं वो इस्लामाबाद की एक जानी पहचानी शख्सियत हैं, मिस्टर शहजाद मीर। ही इज़ बेसिकली इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स engineer from George Mason University in the USA. He got his initial schooling at Islamabad College for Boys in G63 until class 12. He also attended the famous UET Lahore for a while before leaving for the US. He has been living in Islamabad since 1975. He's basically a business person by profession. He's managing his own company and an engineering consultancy since 1994. Shehzad Saab considers himself to be a social media expert and how to use it for the benefit of the public. He's also a chronic golfer. Let's welcome Shehzad Mir Saab. Shehzad Saab, a very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Saab. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be addressing your viewers. It's a pleasure to be addressing, to anybody watching from my home, Islamabad, as well, in Islamabad in general, or from anywhere else. It's a pleasure to be here indeed.
सर बताइए अपने फेलियर्स के बारे में, चूंकि हम फेल फेस्ट का ये इंटरव्यू कंडक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो फेलियर्स को आप किस तरह देखते हैं और आपकी लाइफ में अगर कोई फेलियर्स आपको याद हैं तो वो आप उनके बारे में ज़रा जिक्र कीजिए.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Saab. If you don't mind, I will conduct myself in English because I feel a little bit comfortable in conducting myself in English. जहाँ हो सका वहाँ मैं उर्दू में पंच इन कर लूँगा.
Sure.
The subject or what your website or your Facebook page is all about, Failfest, is very intriguing and the subject itself is very close to my heart. I'll start with a saying which I coined, many years back. The saying is that the reasons of anyone's success today is the sums and lessons of one's failures of yesterday, which essentially means that you should carry out what you love to do, you should do what you want to do, and don't be afraid of rejections, failures, and everything else, because that's part of the game, that's part of life. There's also another saying which actually gives people who are afraid of failure, some faith, is that the saying in English is fortune favors the brave, which actually means that कामयाबी जो है वो उन लोगों के कदम चूमती है जो बहादुर होते हैं. So basically what that saying is that you are brave when you face your failures and you still choose to keep going on. अब मैं आपको इसमें दो तीन और चीजें बताता हूँ. There's another saying very close to my heart, which I ran into recently, which I'd like to share with your viewers, is that quick success breeds ego. Slow success breeds character. And failures are something, if you're willing to learn from them and then move on, it is something which is going to build your character in the long run. This is a very positive thing. Quick success ke andar, anybody who hasn't experienced failures will simply not know what I'm talking about, because of ego involvement and everything else. Anyways, let me start with basically the first thing is the failures in my life, in my personal life, which I had. Well, there have been quite a few. I'm talking about in the personal life. I'll come to my business and I'll come to other things in the second and the third phase. Education. Not a lot of people know that I was a very bright student when I was in my initial class 1, class 2, class 3, so on and so forth, until class 9. Because of some reasons, we traveled out with my parents to Dubai and everything else. I wasn't able to get the passing marks in the final examination of class 9. So I failed in class 9. And this was in ICB, Islamabad College for Boys G63. Having failed, I had to repeat the class 9. So if somebody asks me, जी ICB में आपने कितना पढ़ा हुआ है, तो I always say, जी मैं 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So I count 9th two times, just a little joke. Anyways, so the idea is that when I failed class 9th, it was one of the biggest shocks of my life. It was basically an awakening. I was getting too comfortable in my boots, saying कि ये तो मुझे आता है, मैं कर लूंगा, and so on and so forth. But here is the twist of what I achieved, the positivity I achieved from that failure in class 9th. The positivity I achieved was that the next examination, which is the first term, my position was second. So everybody was amazed that how come this guy who has failed in class 9th is now coming second in the first term examination. The idea was, or the reason behind that was that I worked very hard. I realized that what I had to do, and and that little jolt of failure in put me back on track of excellence in education. And from there on, I never let down, and I was a above average, not too brilliant, but above average student in my the rest of my school life, my college life, and then on my university. So that was one of the biggest failures I achieved in class 9th. But the positive thing was that it put me right back in track. It gave me the confidence later on in life, and it proved to me that failures are nothing. They are simply something which you use to move on and to achieve bigger and larger things in life. I still remember when I failed. I walked home from ICB all the way up to F8 in my house. And the one thing which I was very afraid of, कि मेरे अब्बू क्या कहेंगे? I was, like fathers are a very dangerous figures in those days. आजकल के ज़माने में तो उतने नहीं है. उस ज़माने में हमें तो बाप से इतना डर लगता था कि फूक निकल जाया करती थी थोड़ी और माँ made sure कि जी बाप से डराना है बच्चों को. So my biggest fear of failure at that time was that my father will be highly disappointed and I may get a beating of my life. But Lord behold, nothing. When my father learned about it, he came to me and he said, "ठीक है बेटा, no problem, try again." And I think that was, and he being from the army and a doctor coming from him, and I was surprised, I was amazed. कि यार ये मतलब what kind of a reaction is this? But that reaction gave me the courage to give my best later on in the life, and now that thing is still going on. So this is one of the failures, early life failures, which I have in my education, which I thought would be important to discuss here. Rest, alhamdulillah, I can't think of anything. I'm a happily married man. I have wonderful children, and I have a very calm and stable life. So nothing more to report from there. Now I'll come to my business. I think this is one of the most important things for your viewers who are starting their work at this early age, and they are thinking कि यार अगर हमने ये किया, अगर ये हमसे ना हुआ तो क्या शर्मिंदगी होगी, क्या होगा, किस तरह होगा. I started my business in about 1994 from scratch, and yes, I had to face a lot of failures from the very beginning. Things I wanted to go as per plan did not go as per plan. And there were a lot of disappointments. There were times of depression, but fortunately, being a very optimistic person, depression does not really bother me too much. But I kept at it. I kept pursuing of what I love. There's another saying which I have is that if you love what you do, not a single day will you work hard, because every day you will be giving your 110% to what you love to do. So make sure in life, when you choose something, a work or whatever, make sure that you love to do it. Otherwise, please don't do it. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much whatever you have, you will not enjoy it. Anyway, so in my business life, for the first 6, 7 years, I was struggling. And there was absolutely sometimes no hope. Sometimes I was wondering if this is the right thing I'm doing. But I kept at it. I'm a very persistent person. One thing which I have in my personality is if I decide to do something, I plan it to the last hilt, and then I just stick to it. मेरा होता है कि यार करना है तो ये करना है नहीं तो कुछ नहीं करना. We have to go down with the ship which I have sailed in these waters or whatever. Anyways, I'm very glad that I did that. Finally, I learned from my failures in life. Sometimes a very big project used to come in my hand. I was very optimistic, happy कि यार ये हो जाएगा, but all of a sudden it fizzled out for whatever reasons. So I learned the lessons from that particular experience, inculcated that lesson in my future strategies, thought about it for a while, and then simply moved on. I have never ever, uh, 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 I have never ever settled on thinking too much about why did I fail or why did this not happen? Why is this happening to me? Not at all. I just kept at it and I just kept going until unless, Alhamdulillah, today I can consider myself a successful businessman. And but the only thing which was the common factor is that all those failures in my life, the lessons which I learned, I did not repeat those lessons again. I looked at them, I analyzed them, and then based on that analysis, I moved on and based my future business strategies on them. So, persistence. I mean, you have to be dedicated to what you do, irrespective. Failures are a lesson. They should not be a rock tied to your ankle, which makes you sink to the bottom of the ocean. That's one of the other things in my business life. And I'm a practical example that if you are not deterred by your failures, you will be successful in whatever you do. And the world is full of examples of people who have failed in the beginning, but they have been extremely successful in the later parts of their lives. The wonderful thing is that once you're successful, nobody remembers where you failed. Everybody will remember how you're successful and how have you achieved whatever you have achieved in your life. So, like I said, failures are a uh, catalyst to your personality, and they're a catalyst to your success in whatever you're doing in the long run. Okay, then I come to failures and successes in sports. As you know, I'm an ardent golfer, so I cannot move. I cannot move ahead without quoting my golf experience as well. When I started golf, now some people think that golf is not a game. It's just old men running around with sticks trying to put a small ball in a hole or whatever. But I can show, I was one of that man when before I started golf. But I can show you that golf is the most complicated and the most tough game ever invented by man. I will not go into the details of that. I'll just narrate what the failures of golf were and how I learned from them. It ran parallel to my business and the personal life as well. It made a lot of changes in my personality as well. I was a very impatient man. When I was angry man, I was an impatient man. But when I started playing golf, a lot of failures in golf. I mean, instead of hitting straight, you're hitting left, right, center. You're going in the jungle. You're going in the bunker. You're not hitting the right shots. Not that we don't do it today. We do it today, but with just a little less frequently. But that time, nothing was working. And the level of frustration of the failures of not achieving what you are set out to achieve in golf are tremendous. I mean, literally, for a person like me who's driven, who wants to achieve something and who wants to get results, who plans for everything before proceeding. Anyways, so but for 5 years, I just dabbled in golf and failure after failure. I wasn't achieving anything. I was playing like I had no thumbs and no fingers and stuff like that. But one day, the thing that keeps bringing you back, this is what is going to correlate with the failure and the success part as well. Initially, when you start golf, you hit a lot of bad shots. Your bad shots are everywhere. They're going left, they're going right, they're going up, they're going down, they're going in the grass, and you're frustrated. Nothing is working for you. That's constituted as failure. But all of a sudden, you swing that club and you hit one good shot. That one good shot is the success that you need among the nest of failures to bring you back to the course again and try again. So for the first 5 years or so, I was hitting a number of bad shots, but very few good shots. But those good shots kept me bringing back to the golf course. And over a period of time, today I consider myself an okay golfer. My number of good shots today are more than the number of my bad shots. So I have good days in golf today more than I have bad days in golf. The reason for that is that I learned from my failures and my mistakes in golf in the early years. I used those failures and mistakes in order to improve my game further. And today, Alhamdulillah, like in business, like in personal life, all those lessons learned from the failure in golf are being used for my success in golf as well. I'm not afraid of now hitting a bad shot because I know I can recover from it. The biggest part about failure is recovery. You should learn to recover from your mistakes. If you dwell on your mistakes too much, you will never recover at all. You will get depressed. You will not be able to do anything. So what golf taught me is that if you hit a bad shot, like if you hit a bad decision in life as well, recover from it quickly. Think about it, learn the lesson, but recover from it. Once you recover from it, life goes on. You'll be on the right path and you will achieve something wonderful later in your life. Anyways, so these are the three examples which I've given you both in my personal life, in my business life, and then in sports, rather golf, which I love so much. All of these examples which I have given to you about failures, how you learn from them and then achieve success, they have basically three things in common. Those things are that how to avoid these failures, let me rephrase that. How to learn from these failures, because nobody can avoid failures. Failures are part of everyone's life. Your character is defined by how you perceive those failures and how you adopt them accordingly in your lifespan. Anyways, to be very quick, the common things from the failures to learn is that you always plan, you always are persistent, and you have the patience to do what you love to do. So 3 P's, not the political party PPP, but planning, persistence, patience. These are the three things that are extremely important in order for you to deal with the failures and be successful, later in life. Failures are a great teacher. They're a great motivator. You have to take them as such. Learn from your failures. Your parents may tell you something you will never know. Your teachers may tell you something never know. But the physical failure part is the best teacher and the best experience you will ever know. Other than that, as I always say, don't take your failures personally. It's not about you. You tried to do something, it didn't work out, try again. Learn from your past mistakes, try again. As the saying goes, try again until such time you achieve what you are out to do. Dwelling on failures is like staying in a hospital. If you say, I'm sick, I don't have a lot of time, and so on and so forth, you will always stay in the hospital. No, have positive thinking, learn from your failures, move on. Get out of that hospital so that you're back in life and back in track. To conclude, I would always say that failures is never something to be very scared of, to be fearful of. Take it as a part of life, take it in stride, learn from it, learn from the experience. A couple of more things, be true to yourself. Listen to the advice everybody else gives you, but do what your gut or what you want to do and what you think, what you feel is the right thing to do. But one thing which I'll conclude on, then we'll move on. Whatever you want to do in life, think about it more than 100 times. All angles, all aspects, everything, failures included and everything else. But once you decide or make a decision, stick to it like one man. Never ever go back on a decision that you have made and it's well thought out. That's my discourse for today for your viewers.
थैंक यू सो वेरी मच। सक्सेस को किस तरह देखते हैं आप? सक्सेस को कैसे डिफाइन करेंगे? फेलियर्स पे तो बहुत अच्छी आपने एलैबोरेट बात की।
Right, right.
हाउ वुड
Success is like success. Success is like cocaine. Too much of it will go to your head and mess you up. Uh,
true?
you need to manage success to the best of your abilities. Let it not go to your head, because as the English saying goes, that absolute power corrupts absolutely. My saying also is that absolute success also corrupts absolutely. All of a sudden you start thinking you're invincible, nothing can touch you just because you've done a couple of successful projects, you can do everything again. Wrong. Anything and everything that has to go wrong will go wrong. I've seen businesses which have been successful very early take a dive, close down. Coming back to the same thing, that quick success in life breeds ego, slow success in life breeds character. So make sure that you aim for building your character, because at the end of the day, people will not remember how much money you have, how much successful you were. They will only remember what kind of a person you were, what was your character. Because remember, no matter how successful you are in the world, there are people who are more successful than you in every other field that you choose. So be humble, stay to your roots, stick to your family, don't let it get to your head. That's my message for too much success.
Lovely, amazing. Thank you so very much for your time, sir.
My
एक
pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
parting message, especially for the younger people who will be watching this later in the day.
Right. A parting message is, don't be afraid of failures. Failure is something which is an integral part of life. It builds your character, it builds your personality, it makes you strong. Something which doesn't kill you only will make you stronger. So be a strong man or a woman, be a strong character, be a strong personality. And at the end of the day, success will come. Stick to your goals, be persistent, plan, and have patience. Don't go for shortcuts. Shortcuts may give you something you want for the short term, but if you are in this for the long term, you need to be patient, you need to plan, and you need to be persistent in what you love to do.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, sir, for taking
Thank you,
out
sir.
time on this beautiful
Thank you.
Sunday morning. I'm just
Oh, I love it.
noticing
I love it.
अभी
I love it.
बारिश
Oh,
शुरू होने वाली
beautiful and humid Sunday morning.
है. Yeah, but it's about to start raining now. It's already
Oh,
drizzling in my area.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so. We need the rain. We need the rain.
All right, you take care of yourself, sir.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Sheikh Saab. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed what I've said. Not boring you too much at the end of the day.
not at all. It was a pleasure having you, sir. You take
Pleasure. It's
very good
mutual.
care of
It's
yourself.
absolutely mutual. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Take care, sir. You take care. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz ji, Allah Hafiz.
एक क्वेश्चन